Okay, Gloria, go ahead.
Okay, great. Thanks, Greg. I'll call the meeting to order. And let's see. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to pass it?
So moved.
Second.
I would like to just add my appreciation to Karen Joswick for all her service to the library. It sounds like she's been pretty phenomenal, particularly in the media department. So she will be missed, I'm sure, and we appreciate all that she's done for the library over the years. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. We don't have any public, I don't think. And next is the Assistant Director's report. Kate?
Oh, thank you. This is the time of the year, maybe a couple of months behind, when we usually share the partnership and collaborations update with the board. For those of you who haven't seen these documents before, we do one that we try to list all the things we've done primarily with the UA schools, but also other local schools. And then we have the other document that is all about our collaborations with community organizations and shared services and that kind of thing. Generally speaking, the new items are in bold, so that makes them a little easier to locate. And for 2019, some of our things with the community, we're working with COSI on the STEM STAR program. We participated in the science fair last year. And then things with the city were Farmers Market, the Veterans Plaza project, which is actually currently ongoing as well. We participated in the Community Relations Task Force and also the Community Center Planning. And we continue to host author visits here at the library with our friends at Cover to Cover. And when we have a new media and technology librarian, we've ramped up our programming with the Chamber and with the Commission on Aging. So that was a lot of fun that we did with our community collaborations. With the schools last year, it was also STEM focused in terms of working with Tremont Elementary. Our youth services manager, Tracy Steele, I know has presented before, and she actually teamed up with the Burbank Early Childhood School and their librarian. She met through Leadership UA last year, and we hosted an early childhood conference at the library. This year, I don't know, they were thinking about doing it again, but we'll have to see how circumstances permit. And then toward the end of the last year, we got a lot more involved with the PTOs working on the diversity, equity, and inclusion projects. And so they did a few things for us in terms of translating documents, that kind of thing, displays and programming. And we hope that continues. But in 2020, in March, things changed the way we do business. And so we're on hold for a lot of our new partnerships and projects as we go on. We've been meeting with groups virtually like we do with the board, trying to help each other promote what's going on with the city or the library, the schools, that kind of thing. And so I think everything's going to look a little bit different for the rest of this year as we progress, but we still wanted to be able to share this with all of you right now. One thing I know, those of you that have seen these documents year after year, we're looking for suggestions on how to better present them next year. It's a lot of information to wade through. So one suggestion operations had was to just cut everything at 5 years, except ongoing items. So if you look through and have thoughts later, let us know, and try to make it a more useful document for you as well, instead of just a giant list of things.
Can I add something?
Yes.
I think it's really an impressive list. I would also guess that most of our tax-paying citizens are not aware of the degree to which we're doing this, and would be impressed to know so. So in thinking about, and obviously right now we got pandemic stuff to worry about, the longer run, how we make a better effort at how we sell this thing, how we simplify it. And it may be to pick 1 or 2 or 3 initiatives out of there that really might resound to people and really emphasize those. So you might think about, if you had to condense this to 1 page and make it a sales document, what would it look like?
Okay, that might also, I thought you were going toward levy too, so that would also be appropriate.
Yeah,
I think to share our range of our community involvement too. Okay.
Right.
Thanks.
I agree with Bill. It's a really impressive list. And I think, I mean, I learn new things you do every time I read through it. And, but I do think it is getting pretty lengthy,
Oh, I agree.
which
And
is
a
a
little-
good thing.
Yeah, but a little too much to digest, I think.
Yeah. But, you know, and I do like the 5-year thing. And it really was good to see the ongoing. I think that's a great designation to know that, you know, these are things we continue to do. So, well, anybody else have suggestions, questions?
I would just say, I mean, there's a lot of ways I think we could consider kind of reorganizing this, but for the ones that we want to highlight, and this is probably very obvious, that maybe pull up like the ones that have like the best outcomes. So we can show like data or participation or things like that instead of just we did this, we did this, we did this, and this is when we started and this is when it's running. I think that'll resonate with the community as well, like what is happening from it.
That's a good
Good
idea.
idea.
Good idea, Kate.
Yeah.
Something else that I'm thinking about is how to, I think the social media does a great job with promoting all of our services at all times. And when I look at some of these items, I wonder if there's a way to make these like social media friendly on how they can be presented. So adding that to the list of social media posts, like, did you know that we have an ongoing collaboration with the high school computer club, you know, something like that. So
That's a
kind of
good
making
idea.
it like social
That's
media
great.
friendly.
Yeah.
Great idea too. Thanks.
Yep, I think so. Good. Great. Well, that's wonderful, guys. Thanks a lot. Anybody else? Well, thanks so much, Kate. I know it's, you know, you have to keep this running list going, and I know other people probably contribute to it as
Oh, yes.
well.
Oh, yes. Can I add one more thing, Gloria? I don't know if we mentioned to the board that our big author events are both going to be rescheduled for 2021. So we had
Okay.
our UA Authors Series event this October that we do with the foundation, Madeline Miller, and then we also had, you know, the really big event coming up with Margaret Atwood. And so
Right.
I don't know if we have exact dates on both of those, but you know, if you, I know you would want to come and your friends or family want to come, just
Right.
tell them that they'll be on tap for next fall in a year.
Okay. That's good to know. Not surprised, but
No,
good to know that. Okay, good. So, and also, Kate, it was good to hear you're still working with other, you know, the school librarians, other people trying to promote what we're doing and trying to help each other. And
oh yeah, one example of that too was summer reading club is going to start June 1st. And so traditionally the librarians go to the schools and give presentations, you know, to all the classes. And so obviously that can't happen this year, but they created some really cool, about 3 different videos. They should be on our website and on our YouTube as well, that the school librarians shared, you know, with their kids too, about how summer reading club will work this year and recommendations for books. So that was just one example where that really was helpful to us to have that broader network to share information.
Great, good. Okay, thanks. Thanks so much. Any other comments or questions for Kate? Okay, thank you again, Kate. Next is the director's report. Beth?
Hi, everybody. So I'm going to give you a little bit of information about our reopening. We expanded our curbside. Is that me? Does anyone else hear that? It's like a...
It's a
Sounds
static.
like a vacuum.
Oh, someone vacuuming. Okay, I don't hear it anymore. But this is our second week of curbside, and we've expanded that to allow additional requests. And we've also opened up our book drops until 6 o'clock each day. And for the hours that we're going to be open on Saturday, we've already had many returns. I think 3 or 4 bins, in the first couple of days, right? Yeah. So, and we've been doing chat reference service or chat service for a while now. And as of May 19th, when I was writing my report, we had about 380 chat questions that were answered by our staff from 11 a.m. in the morning until 7 o'clock at night. So staff were online answering questions. Then when we started curbside on May 12th, just within that first week, we had over 230 reservations scheduled. So very, very significant number of people coming in. And even that those were just reservations. That didn't even count the number of people that just happened to drop in. You know, they got a text or a phone call saying they had items available and they didn't realize they had to schedule an appointment, and they would just show up and we would try to accommodate them. So very successful service so far. And
Just
then,
like the comment you, I don't want to, I mean, to interrupt. I got my notice and scheduled today. It runs very easily, although it's not till late Friday, and I went in the time and said, oh, that's already filled. So that's a great service.
yeah, it goes very fast. Every 10 minutes, we have appointments scheduled. I know Gloria used it, and Ron's going to use it. And you had one of your family members too, I think, Gloria, that had come by and then stopped by and picked up their items too. So yeah, and patrons are very happy with the service. So we're excited to be able to start ramping up. The next week, we're going to try to allow people to reserve computers. It'll be by appointment. And we'll only have about 5 computers available in the building with 1 to 2 hour time slots, 2 hours being maximum. And they'll have to be required to wear a mask when they come into the building. They'll come up, say they have an appointment, and they'll come in. So we're trying to phase this in slowly, you know, and I think we're doing a really good job. We're following suit with all of the other libraries in Franklin County and Central Ohio. So I did add a little bit more information in there, although we did go over cost saving measures last time, as well as the amount of money that we lost through the PLF and the amount of money that we saved with the reductions that we did, furloughing staff and reducing hours for full-time hourly staff, and then cutting our full-time exempt staff by 5%. So we're hoping that the PLF picks back up, and we're gonna keep reviewing this on a monthly basis as we see those numbers come in. So of course, our Miller Park and Lane Road branches are temporarily closed while we have our staff on furlough. It's really because we just don't have enough staff to run those buildings. We have about 30 to 40 staff that are currently working. Some of them we have been telecommuting, and we're going to talk about that with some of the policies that we have coming up. But even during that time, our staff have been working very hard, even when the building wasn't closed. Our admin team, marketing, community relations, IT, especially at the IT department, I have to give a huge shout out to IT. They had things up on our website up and running, you know, highlighting our digital media collection, you know, getting videos up on YouTube and helping with all of those things. And then even working on, you know, making our self-checks touchless, which is they were like totally ahead of the game. So I really want to shout out to our IT department. They're incredibly innovative. Technical services is still putting things in carts and doing ordering online. And then we had staff that were doing virtual programming. So even though staff weren't in the building, we were very, very busy. And then of course, admin team, basically having to come up with a plan every 45 minutes based on the changes, which has been, you know, it's been a challenge, but we have a good team. So, and I wanted to say a shout out to my admin team too. You guys are working incredibly hard. As far as safety goes, we sent out the safety guide. I don't even remember how many pages that ended up being with embedded videos. It was very long and lengthy. We had staff sign an acknowledgement that they had reviewed the guide, that they had watched the videos, everything from hand washing techniques to wearing a mask, you know, sanitizing practices, building safety, social distancing measures. It covered everything. So we wanted to make sure that all of the staff that were coming back into the building were prepared for all of the things that we've been ramping up for. So, and then when we start having patrons coming back into the library, we'll be requiring them to again, social distance, wear masks and those things as well. So that's it for my actual report. And then we had to cover some policies.
One
Oh.
question, Beth.
I think we lost somebody. Did we
I
lose
think we lost Kate.
One question, Beth, how is the staff that was furloughed as well as the staff that is working, how are they handling all this? How are they feeling?
So as far as staff that are furloughed, you know, there have been some delays and issues with some of the staff in regards to the collecting the CARES Act or the unemployment. And so Julie's been handling those requests with staff on the whole, but the staff that have been, I mean, and you can speak to this, Julie, as far as staff that have been on furlough that have started to collect their benefits, you know, they're sitting tight and just waiting. And as far as the staff coming into the building, I have to give a shout out to Kate Albers and Tracy and Jen for they're putting together a welcome wagon for the entire week, and they have all this fun stuff planned for staff that are coming back into the building. And it so when we walked in this morning, they were there with individually wrapped cookies with their masks on, standing 6 feet apart, with music playing while staff were coming into the building, and it just made it a very welcoming and inviting environment. And from the staff that I've talked to, they're happy to be back and happy to see each other again. So hopefully we can start to get back to some semblance of normalcy, even though we're all wearing masks and gloves and have to stand very far apart from each other. But I know that full-time staff are missing their coworkers too, that they haven't forgotten that there's a whole bunch of people that are not here. So there's a bit of sadness with that as well. Did you want to add anything, Julie, to that as far as the staff that you talked to that are furloughed?
Well, I have emailed quite a bit with staff as they navigate the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services, which is, you know, in the best of times can be confusing for people. You know, I think people, they're understanding of the measures that we took and, you know, have been very, I don't know, I think just grateful that we are continuing to reach out to them. And we have promised them that we will send them updates as we know more information so that, you know, they're still included in some things that are happening at the library.
Okay, good, thanks.
Beth, do you have all the safety equipment you need, gloves, masks, all that stuff?
Yep, we have everything. We have gloves, we have masks. Each full-time staff member was issued 3 masks. They look like this. They're the white masks. So, but staff are also can wear their own if they like, but we wanted to make sure that they had enough, that way they wash them regularly before they come back into the building. We have a temperature check station set up. So if you don't have a thermometer or you forgot to check your temperature, there's a sign up on the door right when you walk in. The staff member has to walk into one of the meeting rooms, take their temperature. It's not recorded anywhere. It's just so that you know, like if you do have a fever, you need to contact Julie and let her know. So that way they can, you know, they can have a discussion, because we can't have anybody that's in the building that's symptomatic. So.
Hey, Beth, are you getting feedback from the community that we're one way or the other? Are we doing things too quickly, not quickly enough, just right?
I mean, it hasn't come to me that I think everyone's just happy that we're doing something. They're seeing forward momentum. The fact that they can get items, that they can return their items, that was a big one. It's funny, even though you tell someone like, don't worry, your stuff's not due till June, they still don't want to hang on to it. They want to be able to bring it back. So opening up the book drops was a huge step forward. And people are they're very grateful. And I think they understand.
And I have a question about the volume of the requests. How much, how does the volume of pickup requests, drive up requests compared to a typical, like this time last year? Like how much can we scale up using this pickup model?
So right now, so with pickup model, do you mean as far as the volume of number of items checked out, or the number of people that we can serve?
Yeah, I suppose just before the pandemic, you had so many hundreds or thousands of items being checked out and being requested, and how much of that can the pickup by car model, like how much can it make up for that?
Yeah, I mean, right now we don't have the data as far as the number of checkouts, because we just started curbside a week ago. But we will have that data next month on the number of items that were checked out. I can tell you that other libraries that were doing it prior to us, it was about 30% of their normal checkout volume. Plus we have reduced hours, so that's another factor into that as well. So, and one other difference between us and then some of the other libraries is some libraries do appointment and then some don't. I don't know if that factors in with the number of checkouts that they have or not, but I do know that staff, as far as I know, they got all the way through that pull list that was 74 pages long of items to request. And so notices have just started to go out for people to let them know that their items are available. So we're going to see a huge spike in the number of items that are checked out. So, but I'll have those statistics for you next month.
Any other questions?
Thanks. I was gonna say, any other questions?
Sounds good. I think, Beth, you're right. People were so excited to be able to bring their books back. And, you know, I've picked up the ones I had requested, you know, before the closure. I mean, I thought that was handled very efficiently. So.
No, I think it's working really well. And I mean, I do think people are anxious to get back into the building, but I haven't received any kind of nasty communication saying that we need to be open right now or that we're moving too slow or moving too fast either. People seem to be on pace. And it does help that other libraries are moving at a similar pace. So there's this expectation. I will be interested to see what happens over the next couple of weeks, considering that a lot of other things are opening. Pools, gyms, restaurants, you know, so will the expectation be that we're next, or why aren't you open? But so far we haven't heard that. So we're just going to keep going at this pace. And then, you know, like I said, we'll have computer access available next week, and that'll be the next step. And then we're just really we're kind of taking it a week at a time just to see where we are. So.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Okay. So the other things, Beth, were some changes to your personnel policies, right?
So we have, so the first is we have 2 new personnel policies, and these are both a result of COVID-19 that we've had to implement these. The first is the FMLA leave expansion and emergency paid sick leave, and our temporary telecommuting policy. So the first policy, FMLA leave and expansion emergency paid sick leave, it's response to the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. It was expanded leave for employees who need to provide childcare if their school or daycare center or, you know, a caregiver is not able to provide care for that child due to COVID-19. And that it provides up to 10 days of paid sick leave for a number of reasons. They're all listed in the policy. Something like they're seeking a diagnosis, or they've been told that they have to quarantine, their child's school is closed because of COVID, and there are a few other reasons. So basically there would be an FMLA form that they would have to fill out if any one of those circumstances apply to them, and they would be covered under this expansion. The second part of that, as far as the childcare goes, there's also the expanded sick leave. So if someone is diagnosed with COVID, there's a whole other set of circumstances and rules that are applied to that. So they're both very lengthy policies. I hope each of you had a chance to go over those. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to review it with you. But that is the first policy, the FMLA and emergency paid sick leave policy.
Okay. And I think I'm not muted. And that's effective just through the end of this year.
Correct.
Okay. And we'll just have to see how things go. Anything has to continue. Who knows?
Right.
Okay. Any other questions? Do you want to vote on this one first? Shall we
Yeah,
go
so
ahead?
we have the resolution to approve FMLA leave expansion and emergency paid sick leave policy.
Okay. Okay, do I have a motion to pass the resolution?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? Any questions, anything? Okay, if not, all in favor?
I,
Opposed? The motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, then the next one, Julie?
Yeah, so the next one is the temporary,
Julie.
the next one is
Sorry.
the temporary telecommuting policy. And basically what this allows for is for staff, you know, if they don't need to be in the building and there's some work that they're able to do from home, you know, we are allowing accommodation for telecommuting. If they have work to do that they don't need to be doing in the building, and the needs of the, you know, we can still satisfy the needs of the library for that. IT is a great example. They can do almost all of their job remotely. There's no need for them to be in the building and potentially have any kind of exposure. It's safe for us and it's safe for them. So, but we needed to implement this temporary policy, making sure that there are expectations in place, that they know what's required of them. Part of this policy, you know, it talks about eligibility, which is the needs of the library. You know, that comes first. Are there job responsibilities? Does it lend itself to telecommuting? What equipment needs do they have? You know, is there any information that we need to make for that? And then knowing that there may be other tax or legal implications from working from home. But if there is, and they want to do that, they're on their own as far as that goes. We just needed to make sure that we covered ourselves in regards to that. The other part of it, from an auditor standpoint, and Lori can talk about this too if she wants, is basically if staff are telecommuting from home, if they're hourly, they need to keep track of the time that they've worked and specifically what they've worked on. This is necessary for us so that we know, you know, that if they're not in the building, that they're accomplishing the work that they need to get done. For exempt staff, it's a little bit different. Because it's not by hours tracked, but we still need to take into account the work that exempt staff are doing if they are working from home. So we're coming up with a form, basically after this policy is approved. Staff that had conversations with Julie will fill out, you know, they'll read over the policy, they'll have the form to fill out saying that they understand what's required of them. If they're hourly staff, they will have to log in their daily tasks and things that they've been working on. And then if they're an exempt staff member, they would log their work activities by week. So, and again, that's only if they're working from home in any capacity. They're not, it's, you know, business as usual. But this policy is basically just to cover us so that we're keeping track, keeping record of people that are telecommuting, and making sure, you know, that we're doing our due diligence as far as regulation goes. And am I the only one that hears that?
no, I hear it.
Okay. Look, I'm going crazy.
Is the air conditioning.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought maybe it was my office or something, but yeah, but it's the policy is also to make sure that they know what the expectations are from working from home. So
Just one question, Beth, on all these different forms.
Mhm.
Can they complete those electronically and
Yes.
just submit them? They don't have to
right.
be
We have Google Forms, and basically they're authenticated through their email. So we know that that is the person that is filling out the form. And then we'll probably have a box down at the bottom too, you know, where you type in your name. So it's good for us as far as the signatures goes.
Great, make it easy.
Yeah. And sanitary.
Yeah.
Beth, what portion of your people are working from home right now?
So how many do we have now, Julie?
If I had to estimate right now, and of course my dog's gonna start barking right now, dinner time for the dog. If I had to estimate right now, I'd say we have about a dozen staff that would either tell part of the time or all of their time.
Mm.
Okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what the number was.
About a dozen
Okay,
that are either working some of their time or most of their time from home.
okay.
Were there any other questions about the telecommuting policy?
Well, if there are no more questions, do I have a motion to pass the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Great. If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
I,
Any opposed? The motion passes. Okay, and then the next, do you want to talk about the resolution to grandfather leave accrual, Beth, please?
So basically for full-time hourly staff who had their hours reduced from 40 hours a week to 37.5, according to our current policy, these staff would actually accrue their vacation at a lesser rate. So because they're already being cut hours, being cut pay, we wanted to make sure that we weren't cutting anything else that wasn't necessary. So we want to be able to grandfather in their current vacation accrual rate at the 40 hours a week rate rather than 37.5, so that they're really not losing any vacation. I mean, eventually we hope to bring them back to 40. So, there won't be this, flip-flopping back and forth between the different rates. But it would just, to me, it would be seen as, less of a cut for them because they'll still be accruing at their original accrual rate for vacation.
Does that have any cost effect for us, Julie?
Really,
Julie or Beth, sorry.
sure. The cost potentially to us could be if a staff member left the library with the remaining sick leave. So if they'd be accruing at the rate they would have accrued had we not cut their hours. So that would be probably.
Okay. Any other questions about this resolution? Anybody? Okay. Do I have a motion to pass the resolution?
so moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Next, we have Finance Committee report. Lori, you're going to start?
I'll go ahead and hit the highlights. So the Finance Committee did meet on May 13th. Beth alluded to the budget situation a little bit earlier, but obviously revenue continues to be a challenge for us. The PLF for the month of May is about 35% below what we originally expected. And our total revenue gap at this point is a little more than 600,000. However, due to the great efforts of Lori and Beth and the admin team, some really good work has been done to close that gap on the expense side. And actually we are in reasonably good shape as far as the overall budget goes at this point. We also talked about cash flow. One of the other impacts of the virus is that as you homeowners all know, the due date for the second half of property taxes was pushed to August 5th, which may have some tax flow implications for us. We did talk about the library has a kind of a standing practice to maintain at least 6 months of our expenses in reserve. And we currently have about 8.7 months of expected spending in reserve. So as far as our sort of our balance sheet and our cash flow, we're still in good shape there as well. We did decide at the Finance Committee to waive the transfer of $300,000 from the general operating fund to the building improvement fund as a way to conserve some cash if necessary. And we are sort of starting to think about, although with everything else going on, it is not a top priority yet, but we are starting to think about the next levy campaign. And the sort of the objective right now is to start, laying out a timeline to go for a levy in November of 2021.
And I did want to mention to you that I was in contact with Bricker and Eckler, and they are going to send us over our timeline for review in June. So I will have it for the board at that time.
Okay. So with that, Lori, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Well, of course, our biggest concern has been the PLF. In April and May, we lost about $108,000. We're hoping that June picks up. They say it won't be as bad. That may mean that we only have a 25% decrease in what we're anticipating, but we're going to hope for the best there. In terms of the unemployment claims with staff, they are getting through and they are getting their benefits. I've been certifying those daily, so the process is working. They are getting through. A bit of good news we got this week is we did get an AEP rebate of $1,088 for the Tremont branch. So between the three branches, we've recouped over $3,600 in rebates due to installing the LED lighting. So we've recouped almost half of what we spent for the lighting. Another thing we're going to approve tonight is the tax budget. This is required by the Ohio Revised Code. We submit our budget once it's passed tonight. I will submit it to the city and they must approve it at their June meeting. And then the finance director will submit our budget with the cities. Now, the budget that we're submitting is based on our 5-year projections, but I have altered it to reflect an anticipated reduction in the PLF next year. And I'm hoping it's only about 15%. But this budget is more a formality rather than exact numbers, just that we pass this on a yearly basis and we will fine tune that once we actually pass our budget later in the year. Other than that, I think that Kevin has touched on the other aspects of my financial report. Is there any questions or concerns?
Anybody? Any questions? If not, do I have a motion to pass the tax budget resolution?
Okay, so move.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, discussion?
I did want to let you all know that we did have another flooding incident here at Tremont. Yay.
No.
So we are working on that. We were ahead of the game. We do have flood insurance, but now it turns out it's a different issue, or it might qualify under something else, right, Greg?
That's correct. So as I think happened to a lot of folks in Upper Arlington recently, we think we had an overwhelmed sump pump. So we're looking into some longer term changes and starting to get some pricing together for that now, just to get us more capacity. Really it's the same setup we've had for some time, and it's only recently started to fail us. So I think we might be dealing with some isolated incidents, but I think it's a good opportunity to take a look at that and make sure we truly have what we need there.
Thanks.
And with that insurance coverage, we just took out that flood insurance after the previous flood just 1 month ago. We didn't think we'd have a claim quite this soon, but I'm glad we took it when we did.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Okay. Any other discussion questions about the tax budget resolution? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion passes. Next, we have the Operations Committee report.
We met on May 6th. The highlights, we discussed the annual partnerships and collaborations, which Kate covered at the top of our meeting today. We also discussed the need for the 2 COVID-related personnel policies that we passed today, the telecommunicating and the FMLA policies. We discussed briefly our reopening plan and the PLF projections, but most of the time in our meeting, we spent talking about how the staff is doing and thinking and reacting to how things were at the end of April, early part of May. So that's what we focused on.
Okay. Any other questions, discussion about the Operations Committee? Okay, thank you, Peter. And I don't really have anything other than to say thank you again to all of you, particularly the admin team, I know, and really all the staff. I know you've had a lot of people that have contributed and helped to get things beginning to go again. So again, we're very appreciative as a board, and I know the community is, because, you know, I think they've been delighted to be able to pick things up and now to return them as well. So, and I think we're moving along at the right pace. And as Beth said, I mean, it seems to be that most other libraries are doing the same. And I actually I have a library card here too. And I sent Beth sort of their plan, and it's very similar to ours. So I think everybody's just being cautious. You know, they're trying to protect their staff and the public as well, and still try to serve. So I commend all of you and am very appreciative.
Thank you.
Any other comments or discussion? Anything else we need to do that we can help you with, Beth, or any of the staff?
I can't think of anything, honestly. I mean, we're plugging along, and I do appreciate, you know, I know I had reached out, you know, after staff had shared some concerns with me about, you know, the pace at which we were trying to implement and reopen. And then, you know, I had come to you and said, hey, you know, what do you think about this? I just want to make sure that we're doing the right thing, you know, and your support has really meant a lot. So I wanted to thank you and thank the rest of the board for your continued support for us and everything that we've had to do so far and planning for reopening and keeping staff safe. So thank you.
Right. Well, you're welcome. I mean, it is interesting. I love what you're doing on social media, because I get responses all the time because I share all those things, and people send me notes back saying, you know, thanks so much for letting us see this. So, you know, I think it's a very valuable tool, and we can't underestimate, you know, how important that is, and that people really are looking at it to sort of see what we're doing and what's happening and what they can get there and those sorts of things. So thank you for whoever's doing all of you who are that.
Yeah.
So
great.
Well, if no one has anything else, I think we've taken care of the business we have to do, and we can have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any other comments? Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes, and we'll have our next board meeting on Tuesday, June 16th, 2020 at 5 o'clock.
Thank you, everyone.
Great.
Thanks.
Okay,
you.
thank you.